It's Happy Hour again from Uptown New Orleans. Hello, I'm Grant Morris. Happy Hour is part of the family of shows on the podcast network. It's neworleans.com. When you walk into a bar in New Orleans and you pull up a bar stool, you can keep going under this if you like. Yeah, fine. You never know who's going to be sitting next to you. What you do know is no matter what they look like, what they're wearing, whether they just got out of a limousine or just got out of jail, they're going to be happy to talk to you because that's New Orleans and this is Happy Hour, a cocktail-fueled 60 minutes of random conversation with folks who have nothing in common. Other than we're all New Orleanians in a bar today, we're at the fabulous Wayfair on Ferret Street. And Wayfair, yes, it's still summer here in New Orleans. It's the endless summer, the summer that will never end. So you can still come down here for Happy Hour and get not your mama's frosé, the perfect summer drink, frozen cocktail made with dry rosé vodka, Saint Germain, Peychaud's bitters, lemon juice, and a house-made strawberry basil syrup. And they have a 3-hour Happy Hour here every day at Wayfair, which is a couple of blocks down from Napoleon Avenue on Ferret Street. Josh Starkman is playing the theme song today. What is it called, Josh?
It's called the David Torkanowski Radio Hour theme song.
Okay. Does David Torkanowski own the copyright to this?
I don't know.
We're going to find out. We're going to find out.
I love it, though, and I love
it's
David
nice.
Torkanowski.
Yeah. He won't mind if we just use his stuff, will he? I don't think. And Josh is here today with Cyrille Aimee. Cyrille, it's so nice to meet you and to have you here.
Nice to meet you, Grant.
Once in a while, we inadvertently have sort of like a superstar happy hour here without intending to. I have no idea what you're doing living in New Orleans, but I'm so excited that you are here.
I'm excited to be living here.
How long have you been here?
2 years.
2 years already?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, that's gone quickly.
Yeah.
In case nobody knows who you are, do a lot of people know who you are? Are you famous here?
Here?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm jazz famous.
Jazz famous, right. I don't know if people know how famous you are. This is what the Wall Street Journal said, that you were one of the most promising jazz singers of her generation.
Wow.
And the New York Times called you a rising star in the galaxy of jazz singers.
The galaxy.
The galaxy. The universe. So it's pretty amazing that you are here. We'll get on to why did you move here exactly?
A big part of it is Josh, actually.
Really? You're in love with Josh?
No.
No, it's not romantic.
No, definitely not.
Oh, well, that
Brotherly,
was
sisterly.
I came visited New Orleans for the first time with some friends a few years ago, and we were here 3 days, and the person we were supposed to stay at had a last-minute gig, so they were like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I can't host you, but my friend Josh Starkman, he can probably host you." And so me and my two buddies, we stayed at Josh's house. He didn't know any of us, and for 3 days he took us everywhere. He showed us everything in the city. He took us to morning call at 2 a.m. He took us to the singing tree. We sat in with him at Maison, and I was like, "Are people like you here?" Because if they are, I'm moving here.
So that's what did it. And have you discovered that there are a lot of people like Josh, or is he the exception?
He's an exception for sure,
So
but
now you realize you made a huge mistake.
Thank you.
no, I fell in love with the people here. People are so generous with their time and their house and their feelings. I was living in New York before this, so it's a big difference.
Well, thank God you're here.
Yeah.
Good. It's great to have you. Gia Hamilton is also here.
Yes.
Hi, Gia.
Hello.
This is the rest of the Superstar Day. Gia is the executive director and chief curator of the New Orleans African American Museum.
That's right.
Among other things.
Newly reopened.
Yeah.
As of April this year.
Just April this year, 2019.
Yes.
And what was it doing before then? It was wrecked by Hurricane Katrina,
It
basically.
was sitting for 6 years, almost 3 acres of property in the middle of Treme, historic Treme. So,
Right.
you know how buildings do here, right? The environment and the elements begin to take over the buildings. So we started the renovation process in January and reopened one of our buildings in April. So it's been really exciting.
That's very un-New Orleans-like, completely.
Very un-New Orleans-like, exactly.
Wasn't the same guys that were building the Hard Rock Hotel, did it?
No, thank goodness.
It is just as well.
Oh, hey-o.
Shout out to Restoration Legacy, who is our contractor. Really fantastic guys.
That's what we need. We need Restoration Legacy down on Canal Street about now.
We do.
So that's an exciting thing that you've got that museum back in, because it was like a sort of the heartbeat of Treme for a long time. There was all kinds of stuff going on there, music and shows, and people had weddings there.
Lots and lots of weddings,
Are you doing
like
that
many
again?
of those spaces do. But, you know, I think one of the things that's super exciting about the space is that it was actually the city's first brickyard. And so it It sits along a path, the 5,000-year-old Chitamacha path that essentially was a trading path from the river to the lake. And so the women would actually go all the way to Lake Pontchartrain to get silt and soil and bring it back and make bricks on that plantation. And then the men were the bricklayers. So there's a lot of history just like on that property.
There is.
Yeah.
Because the building is not made of brick, actually, is it?
It's
wood.
not. It is a traditional
weird
sort
is
of,
that?
yeah, like Creole villa.
Right.
The Villa Malore.
Wouldn't you think they would make a house out of brick if they were building it in a brickyard?
That makes sense to me. I am not
Has
sure
anyone
why they
mentioned that
decided
before?
the barge board. Barge board though does well with our weather.
It's wood.
Have you guys noticed
right.
what Gia's carrying around here today?
A child. I asked, what is that? Is that a baby? Because I'm stupid.
There's a little pouch here, and I take my 4-month-old with me everywhere, including the museum.
Well,
So-
you would have to. What else can you do with a 4-month-old?
You know, people
I
do
guess
things
someone
with
else could look
4-month-olds.
after him, I suppose. But how's he doing?
He's doing well. He's a New Orleans African American Museum baby. So
Is he enjoying the podcast so far, do you think?
He is sleeping.
This is not his first podcast.
Hopefully,
Yeah,
no
he's bored.
indication of the excitement of the podcast.
Right.
But, yeah.
And I see you're wearing it's an ordinary outfit today. I was interested to see what you're going to wear today.
This is true. I do love my vintage clothes and
You've
crazy
got
outfits.
such amazing clothes. I've been watching your video blog thing. It's called, what is it, Live Artfully? Or live,
Yes, live your purpose artfully.
Live Your Purpose Artfully.
Yes.
And every episode is you in another fabulous costume.
Is it real? I
Yes,
appreciate
have a
hearing
look.
that.
I love that.
Take a look. Yeah.
I like colors. I like interviewing colorful people. So the idea is to interview folks who are really just trying to find their passion and are blending things that are kind of uncommon, and putting them together in a life that works for them. So
Kind of
it's
like happy hour.
kind of like happy hour.
Josh does a daily show as
Yeah.
well. We're going to get to that in a minute because first I want to introduce you to Matt Wisdom is here. Matt is the CEO of Turbo Squid.
Hello, Grant.
Hello, Matt. It's good to see you again. I haven't seen you since 2012 or something. I looked up the
What is it? The
records.
days are short, or the days are long, the years are short. Is that it? It's
Is
been
that what
7
it is?
years.
And do you guys know what Turbo Squid is? Josh, you got any idea?
Is it like one of those
Three guesses.
electrical plug things that are like, it's like tentacles instead of a strip?
One.
Okay.
Do you know what Turbo Squid is?
Is it like a stuffed animal that has, some batteries included and it...
It's arms
That's
and flat.
close. It's close. It's very
That's the
close.
other business model we considered, but no.
Nice.
Matt will tell you what it is.
Well, it's kind of like a marketplace for people buying computer graphics. So it's like an Amazon or an eBay, people buying computer graphics around the world. You've seen our stuff from all kinds of movies and games and a variety of places.
According to my information, it's the world's leading seller of 3D models used to create imagery in feature films, computer games, VR, and other industries.
Wow.
That's a fact.
World's leading.
Wow.
By world, we mean the entire planet Earth.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So you're the biggest guy on Earth in the VR 3D model world.
It's like a relatively small industry, probably smaller than knitting, but in it we're rock stars. You wouldn't believe. Like, I go to conferences, I actually have people selfie with me in this tiny little industry. So that's like my very small minutes of fame other than being on this podcast.
You're what is it called? Is it called 3D modeling?
Yeah, they're 3D models.
So
They're
you're 3D model famous, and Aimee is jazz famous.
Jazz famous. I think 3D
Yeah.
jazz famous is better than 3D
Jazz
model
famous is even
Such
jazz
as
is
it
the
goes.
smallest sort of musical genre there is. I think probably.
So small,
Is,
so mighty.
is it smaller than
Small and
classical?
mighty.
Small and
It's not the size that counts, Grant.
exactly. But is jazz smaller than classical even, or is classical smaller than jazz?
We'll just say classical smaller.
I would say.
Yeah, just go
So
with that.
I have no
where's 3D modeling compared to classical and jazz? Do you think it's even smaller than all that, or is it bigger?
God, I think it's growing. It's in its ascendancy.
Right.
We've got virtual reality and augmented reality.
Right.
We're moving. So
you're the
I'm
Jeff.
hoping
You're
we're
the
going
Jeff
to intersect
Bezos
at some point.
You're the Jeff Bezos of 3D model.
I-
You're the biggest
I like that.
online
Thank you.
thing in the world.
I'm gonna-
It's a marketplace, right? It's like
you
Amazon.
said it. I'm happy to adopt
Jeff
that.
Bezos of 3D
I'm
modeling.
praying somebody will write my Wikipedia page one day and they'll quote you.
Do you have a Wikipedia page?
No.
You don't? Why
I'm
don't
not gonna
you?
write-
You can write one. for
Somebody has to write it
yourself.
honestly. I'd never
Why
write
would
my
it?
own.
I don't
Honestly,
think you're allowed to.
People,
No,
people don't write Wikipedia pages honestly.
I know, but just
Do
saying.
you have a Wikipedia page, Josh?
Oh, one day.
You don't have one yet?
You hire a PR firm. That's what the best.
That's how you get one?
Yeah.
Aimee, you have a Wikipedia page, right?
I do, but I didn't write it.
I don't think you're allowed to write your own
la.
Wikipedia
No,
page.
you're
though.
How do they verify if it's you writing it or not?
Good question. Gia, do you know that?
I mean, the info is correct.
It is? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Matt, how come you don't have one if you're the biggest guy in the whole world in this?
Well,
Industry.
I'm working on it.
Do you not have a PR company?
Well, you could. There's one
Do
for the
you-
company. I just
Right.
don't feel like self-promoting like that. I don't know.
But people already take selfies with you. You should capitalize on it.
Yeah.
I could be your guy.
We'll talk afterwards.
Okay,
You can
great.
send
Well,
me
you
your
play
PR
guitar
company.
as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you could be on Josh's show.
I'll trade lessons
Yeah.
for anything.
For Wikipedia writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does that
So
great.
All I need is more talent.
Josh has a daily video show
Yes.
that he makes, it's called Have a Great Day.
Yeah, it's a thing.
It's really. Have you seen this, Gia?
I have not. Now I want to have a great day.
Yeah.
So
This
tell
is a
me.
way. This is a good place to start.
I document and I promote musicians and artists or whoever wants to be on a camera playing music with me.
Awesome.
And I have a good time.
It's amazing. Every single day, there's someone else who's an amazing musician playing with Josh, who's also an amazing musician, isn't he, Cyrille? Wouldn't you have to say that?
Well, I have to say that I hire him, so that means a lot.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, he's got chops. Make no
He's
mistake.
really good.
Oh,
Matt,
yeah.
Matt, when did you start playing?
High school.
What high school was that?
It was Country Day. in
Country
New Orleans.
Day.
Mhm.
Okay.
New Orleans, what high school? Ooh.
I know,
That's how we
I
do
know.
it here.
That's how we
That's how
do
we
it.
do.
You went to school here. Aren't you from here too?
I am from here.
Well, what
5
school?
generations.
5 generations. What school did you go to?
I went to McMain. Go Mustangs.
Okay. McMain Magnet.
That's correct.
Was it a big deal school then? Did you have to test in at those
You had
tests?
to test in. Yeah.
So everyone's super smart here. as well.
We would like to think so.
And what did you do after school?
I honestly, I got the hell out of here. New Orleans was small, so I left
Yeah.
and went to New York City and attempted a life there for 15 years. So it's my second home.
Okay. And,
Yeah.
But you pulled off quite a bit, including having 4 kids.
I did. I mean, I was there. My parents loved the fact that I finished from NYU and decided to become a farmer. That was their most favorite moment, I think.
Wow.
with
Well, were
the-
you growing weed back then?
I wish. I wish.
What were you growing?
No, we had a small little farm near Ithaca afterwards. I was really disenchanted with the corporate world and left to kind of live off the land. It was very
who's
Denise
we?
Huxtable, my husband and I.
So you got your husband to go along with us, or
This
did he
is-
drag you out?
New Orleans women are very persuasive. So yes,
So you met this guy in New York?
here in New
Here.
Orleans.
And you dragged him to New York, and then you dragged him to become a farmer.
That's correct.
Wow.
Loyal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ride or
Very
die.
loyal. Ride or die guy. Yes.
And how long
Right,
did you stick it
attractive.
out on the farm? What were you growing there?
We were growing everything, mostly microgreens and medicinal herbs, which I
Wow.
later brought that practice back to New Orleans years later. And we had a little small business called Grigri Lab where we grew medicinal herbs and sold them to farms in the city.
To farms or pharmacies?
Farms.
You sold
So Holly
medicinal
Grove
herbs to
Farm?
farms.
Yeah.
What the heck does that? How do you do that?
That just meant that we grew them and then we would sell them in bulk. So we dry them, we'd make tinctures or syrups.
Why
and
would
we'd
a
resell
farm
them.
be growing? Why would a farm be buying dried vegetables?
So they were a cooperative, so they were really interested in how they could promote smaller farmers, right? And so they acted really as that like third party place
Right.
that
Holly
people could
Grove
come.
did.
Holly Grove Market,
Right.
yep, which is closed now,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Well, Grigri Labs, how did they pronounce that in New York? I mean, did they call it like Gris Gris Labs?
Gris
It was Gris
Lab,
Gris Labs. Oh,
constantly. It was really frustrating. Yeah. I
Yeah,
had to
that is a
keep-
good marketing question. That's a pretty bad name.
We'd always put it in parentheses, right? The phonetic spelling so that people could pronounce it correctly. It never worked.
How
At
did
all.
you get into becoming doing what you're doing now? Then being a
You know,
director of a museum.
It's funny. I've had a winding path, always sort of 4 intersections in my work, in my life. I love growing, so food work has always been a part of my life. Art, my mother's a writer, and so art has always been a part of my life. Music, my grandfather was a jazz musician.
What did he do here in New
He
Orleans?
was a jazz pianist. Charlie Skates Hamilton played with Preservation Hall. He played with George Lewis.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so music was always a part of our lives, art and theater and writing. And then we had that weird scientist father, so I had to go to school and,
You had your father was a weird scientist, or was
Weird
he a,
scientist.
Was he a weird
I
person?
hope he's not listening. maybe he'll
Is he
listen.
still here?
He is still here.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, he's probably listening. He's at home.
Did you have to get an engineering degree and a liberal arts degree? How did that go?
He tried.
He
He
tried.
tried. He is now trying with his grandchildren.
Okay, so you have 4 kids, and this is number 5.
This is number 5.
Little Zaire.
Little Zaire,
So your oldest one is
18.
18 years old. So you've been a mom for a long time, and you've got a long way to go.
I have. I
Still.
have. You know, people ask all the time, like, so, you know, it's easy now, right? And you know all the things. And I'm like, no, actually, it's
be
not.
worse. Now
it's
you're
the
old.
most humbling job
Every
that
kid's
you don't get
different,
paid
right?
for.
Every
yeah.
kid's different,
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Did you think you were out of the woods when your last kid turned 15 or
I was
16
like,
or
I'm
something?
out of the woods. I'll have
And
my
then-
freedom.
yeah.
And, no.
No, you never
no.
thought that was...
I always wanted a big family. Yeah. I never.
So this is the last one or not the last one?
This is probably the
Not
last
necessarily,
person, but
though.
not necessarily.
Okay. All right.
But probably. Matt and I were actually talking about that. You wanted 10 children, is that right?
Did you?
Yeah. Then I had 1, and then I decided I wanted 5, and then I had 2, and then I was more or less done.
Yeah.
And then there was a 3rd,
Yeah.
and I love him dearly.
All right. So you negotiated yourself down from 10 to 3.
Oh, yes. Reality negotiated me into a
So
safe
how old are
place.
your kids?
They're 20, 18, and 16.
Wow, you guys look awfully young for people.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Did Facebook Live get this? How young
Yeah.
we look?
Don't
Right?
they look young?
Yeah, I mean, for having 17 kids each, it's
Yeah. It's
pretty amazing.
And if you could add a filter or two, that would be great.
Right.
I've
We
learned
like
the magic
sparkly.
of this thing, and not the one that ages you prematurely, but make
the one
make
with
it
the
look
little
good.
pussycat ears. That's
Oh.
we have that one.
That one.
Hey, so Cyrille, so you moved here to New Orleans to sing or to write or
To chill.
to get out of being famous or what?
No, because I was living in New York for 10 years.
You were
And
there for 10 years. Wow.
And at first, when I moved to New York, it was because I wanted to be part of the scene and to learn and to play in the clubs and everything. And I did that for a while, but in the last few years, I wasn't really playing in New York as often because when I would play in New York, I was playing a more higher, bigger room where you can't really play months before because they want to sell tickets in that show. So I had exclusivity contracts. So I wasn't really playing in New York anymore. And so,
So the more famous you got, the less you played?
well, I would go and play on the road. So
Right.
I tour a lot. And so, you know, when you're touring a lot and you're running and always going from point A to point B, when I was home, which meant I was off, I was in the busiest, fast-paced city
Right.
ever.
Very relaxing.
So there was not really a downtime. So I came to New Orleans so that while I'm not touring, I'm in a place where it's slower and the quality of life is higher, and I have time to do, you know, things, and also to be outside. I like the warmth and the food here. Love it.
Right. So you found the right place. So you're staying.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right.
I bought a house here.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're not like these other famous people like Brad Pitt and all these guys.
Didn't he buy a bunch of houses here?
He bought a house. He built a lot of houses here, but that was for other people.
Right.
Yeah,
Or
but
Nicolas
they're
Cage.
weird looking.
Nicolas Cage was here for a
Nicolas
while.
Nicolas Cage
Here.
is my neighbor.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
How'd that
That's the
go?
whole thing. He didn't remember where his cross street was. Actually, his wife didn't. It was interesting.
He couldn't
they had
remember
a
where he
house
lived.
here. They had a house in the Garden District and one in the French Quarter, and that was a problem that came up a couple times in their relationship. They
Couldn't remember
find
which
where
house.
that house they lived in.
Wow. That's a good problem. He bought Daniel Lanois' old house on Esplanade Avenue.
He bought that one too. He bought the haunted house, the one that's like the seriously haunted house in downtown. He said he liked to buy ghost front property.
Ghost
So he
front.
bought a chapel
Come
on
on,
3rd
man.
and Britannia. That was his
Real
quote.
estate.
Come on,
And
bro.
then he bought the one that's like the what is it? I can't remember the name of the house, but in the quarter that's like the
Right.
most haunted of all haunted houses
Oh,
in New
really?
Orleans. Yeah.
So did you see him around when he was here? Did you hang out?
I saw his wife. It was just fascinating. His wife, because it took a little while to figure this out. Because at some point my youngest, who at that time was like 6, said, "Dad, I'm friends with the son of the rock star who lives next door." And I was like, "Oh wait, hold on, I can Wikipedia this. Like you can find out who Nick Cage's son's name is." So I said, "What's his name?" And he said, "It's Kalal." And it turns out, yes, his name is Kal-El. which is the Superman's name on planet Krypton.
The son of Nicolas Cage.
Is Kal-El. Yeah. And he's named after Superman on Krypton. So that's it. So
Okay.
it's all, you could validate stuff. So
His
anyway.
tomb is really impressive too here as well. It's like a pyramid or something. He already
Who,
bought
Nicolas
a plot.
Cage? He's not
yeah,
dead,
in
is
St.
he?
Louis. No, he wishes he was maybe.
He bought a plot for himself?
yeah, in St. Louis Cemetery, I think.
Thinking ahead.
Yeah,
What?
thinking ahead.
Seriously?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You
It's very romantic.
You can go to Nicolas Cage's grave.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully not soon to be. I mean,
Yeah.
he's got a lot of work
Yeah.
left.
The
in his
death
life.
date is a
Second
question
time
mark.
I've heard this in a month.
Is that right, Thomas?
Yeah, somebody else has brought this up to
Wow.
me too.
It's important
I
New
haven't
Orleans
seen it
knowledge.
yet.
That's good stuff, Joshua. How do you know that?
I'm just a learned man.
You apparently know stuff.
He's a great New Orleans tour guide.
He
Yeah.
must be. Did he take you to Nicolas Cage's
No,
tomb?
how dare you?
Sorry, we'll get around to it.
That
It'll
is
be on the
great.
ghost tour sooner or later.
Well, what happened to him? So he lost a whole lot of money and had to sell everything, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, I think the IRS got a hold of him.
So that's what, well, you have to pay taxes at some point. So Kal-El is gone as well, the whole, and the wife, is he still married to Mrs. Cage?
Alice, she's wonderful, but I can't speak to their marriage. I'm not
Don't
really
know.
sure.
You don't know anything. You haven't kept up with them, the Cage.
Well, they had a little bit of a run-in on. There was a whole thing in the French Quarter. It was that was the last I heard. That he was going to the wrong house and he got arrested. And there was a whole thing. It was a little
really?
bit rough. Yeah. It was big news.
He was so high or drunk or something that he walked into the wrong house.
See, he happened to be at the restaurant Stella, while I was there, and then as he had a whole scene, and then unfortunately the editor of Vanity Fair was there too, and so wrote a whole article about what happened as he melted down in the restaurant, and then after that he left, couldn't find his house, and then was arrested, and it was anyway.
I don't remember any of this. You remember any of this, you guys?
Actors can't stop acting.
Right.
That's fine.
They
Wow.
can't.
That is a crazy story. So who bought the house now, the next day? The neighbors? Who are current neighbors?
Med mal plaintiffs.
Just
plaintiffs attorneys.
regular
it's
folks.
People, successful folks who end up coming in.
Where do you
a
live?
Special house.
Now that you're the world's biggest.
Oh God. Well, I
Did Jeff
actually
Bezos
I
have-
just sold the house and moved from the Garden District to Uptown.
Okay.
So it's fun. So it's a nice little change of pace.
All right.
I wanted to be
What
in the
made
Garden
you
District
move?
for 10 years.
Do you want a bigger place or a smaller place? Or
I want a
just,
smaller place. It's hard to run one of these battleships in the Garden District. It's an old, fun house. It's a house they shot this movie Django Unchained in for a
Okay.
while. So we had it was a
Wait, you have
ton
a great
of fun.
pool. Oh my goodness, you gave up the pool?
so what happened? You
You know.
made a huge bunch of money there when you started the business, and you bought a giant house in the Garden District, and then
And then I
didn't
learned my
turn out to
lesson.
be such
and
a
then,
great idea. Right.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun, but there's a thing called too much house. And when your kids are moving out of the house, and you're sort of sitting around saying, "There's
Right.
a time." So I'm learning. I'm downsizing in my late 40s, and I'm enjoying it. Except for, moving to the new place this week. The air conditioning breaks, and there's a boil advisory. I'm just like, I'm drinking the water. I'm drinking the ice. I'm eating the ice.
I never
I'm
pay
done.
attention to that boil water advisory. Do you care about that?
No.
I don't worry about that. Hey, listen, you guys, you want to play something, Cyrille, while we're sitting here with a guitar?
Yeah.
What do you want to play?
What do you
Want
want
to do Marry Me A?
Okay.
I'm going to take the headphones off because
Okay.
they get in the way of my guitar.
Marry me a little, love me just enough. Cry, but not too often. Play, but not too rough. Keep a tender distance, so we'll both be free. That's the way it ought to be. I'm ready, marry me a little. Do it with a will. Make a few demands I'm able to fulfill. Want me more than others, not exclusively. That's the way it ought to be. I'm ready now. You can be my best friend. I can be your right arm. We'll go through a fight or two. No harm, no harm. We'll build a cocoon of love and respect. You'll promise whatever you like, I'll never collect. right? Okay then, I'm ready now. Marry me a little, love me just enough, warm and sweet and easy, just the simple stuff. Keep a tender distance so we'll both be free, that's the way it ought to be. I'm ready, marry me a little, body, heart and soul, passionate as hell but always in control. Want me first and foremost, keep me company, that's the way it ought to be. I'm ready now. Oh, how gently we'll talk, oh, how softly we'll tread. All the stings, the ugly things we'll keep unsaid. We'll build a cocoon of love and respect. You promise whatever you like, I'll never collect. Right? Okay then, I'm ready now. Someone, I'm ready.
Amazing.
Wow. Okay. What do you
Thank you.
What did you think of that, kids?
Yeah, that was lovely.
That's a pretty
What a great voice.
rare treat.
That was Sondheim.
That's off your album called Move On.
Yes, the album is a tribute to Stephen Sondheim, who's a legendary Broadway composer. He wrote the lyrics to West Side Story when he was 26, and he's now 89 or something. And this song is from a show called Company, which is the main character, Bobby, is the only single person in his whole entourage, so all his friends are in a relationship or they're getting married or they've been married several times, they have kids, and they're all telling him, Bobby, you have to find a nice girl and settle down, and you know, telling him it's hard work but it's amazing, and Bobby, you know, they're all his friends and he can see that it's not amazing. and so he's kind of struggling with the fear of commitment versus the longing for intimacy, and this song is a song that he sings in the show, Marry Me a Little.
That's kind of what everyone's struggling with, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Fear of commitment and a desire for intimacy.
Yeah.
We'd like to be married a little bit, non-exclusively too. So that's a
That's a sort of a dream.
yeah. It's very forward-looking, I think.
And are you acting as well? Or are you just singing these Sondheim Broadway songs?
Oh yeah, I'm a singer, but I believe in the songs I sing and I live them while I'm singing
Right.
them. So maybe visually it looks like I'm acting, but
Now, I mean, do you want to get on stage and sing these songs in the show, or are you happy?
I would like that. That would be fun.
Because you know Stephen Sondheim, right?
Yeah, I do.
So is he powerful enough still on Broadway to tell people who to cast in a show?
I mean, I don't know. We're not buddies or anything.
But he's a big fan of yours, though.
Yeah, I actually, the way I discovered his music was because I got casted to do a tribute to Sondheim show at the New York City Center with the Winter Marsalis Orchestra, and I was on stage acting these songs, and the two female singers of the show were myself and Bernadette Peters, and that was my introduction to his music.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty star-studded introduction. And did you meet him through that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He knocked on my door and told me I made him laugh and cry.
Wow. That's a pretty amazing accolade.
Yeah.
But are you interested, how would you go about transitioning from just being a singer, singing these songs on a record, to actually singing them on a Broadway stage?
Well, the first thing is not to move from New York to New Orleans.
Okay. That would be a good step. And leave Broadway behind.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not actively looking for it, but if I get asked, because I'm mostly a musician and I already have so many goals as a musician, like, for example, writing music, that after being part of that show, that Stephen Sondheim tribute, I was amongst a lot of actors and people from the Broadway world, and it's so hard. Basically, they spend their whole days going to auditions.
Yeah.
And they do dozens of auditions to maybe get one callback, and you have to dedicate your whole self to it. And
So you're not going to just get cast magically because Stephen Sondheim likes you. You're not going to
exactly.
Get. Exactly.
That's what happened to me. See, that's how I make things happen.
Right. But there's not really any real way that could happen. Realistically, you have to audition for everything, and you've got to dedicate your life to it.
Yeah, if you want to be in the Broadway world, yeah.
See, what you need is a lifestyle coach.
I thought you needed Grigri.
I'm going to come back. I'm going to tell you exactly how to get a lifestyle coach in just a minute. We're going to take a very quick break, and I'm going to come back and talk about your future on Broadway. Okay, Cyrille?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. And we're back on Happy Hour with Matt Wisdom, Cyrille Aimee,
Very long break.
Josh Starkman, and Gia Hamilton. And Gia Hamilton, I'm going to turn to you next and have you explain to Cyrille how to achieve her life goals.
I had a feeling you were going to come to me about that.
Okay.
Lifestyle coaching is I think simple in its design, which is really to get to know a person that you're working with, understand their goals, and help them achieve their goals. And I'm guessing there's a reason you're directing that question to me.
I am directing it to you because I have here in my notes that Graham DePonte, our producer, gave me. It says that you are a lifestyle coach. It says that I could schedule a rapid strategy session with you.
This is work that I have done. So my practice from farming led to sort of a healing practice. So a massage therapy, acupuncture practice, and then working with people. So working with them in terms of their body, their kind of life goals and purpose, and helping them to kind of understand how to shape those goals so that they can actualize them. So kind of using a total holistic approach to that.
Does it work?
It sometimes.
What percentage of success would you have with a client?
It really depends, but it depends on the person's commitment and their belief in the thing that they want to achieve. And so it really is kind of an intimate relationship with a client, with a person that you're working with.
Josh, you have a lifetime goal that you're trying to achieve?
A lifetime goal. A lot of different things, I guess. But it's interesting that you're talking about this because I come from a family of this. My dad's a chiropractor, and my brother's a massage therapist and acupuncturist. My mom was a midwife for 30 years. Yeah. So I've been around all this stuff. My brother actually is a life coach. There's something interesting about life coaches, though, is because it's like they... how do I put this? It's like they themselves need a life coach, but they become a life coach because it's good for them as well.
It's true. It's true.
Is it really?
Therapists.
Yeah, therapists.
It's like psychiatrists are all crazy.
Yeah,
It helps keep you accountable, honestly.
Right. Except this is more organic, fair trade, local.
Is that why you started doing it? Because your life was a mess yourself?
Yeah, it's always a mess. 5 kids. You can't help but have a messy life. But what I have learned is how you handle the messiness, how you handle the things that are troubling and challenging is kind of like where the magic lies. So now I work a lot with artists, and that work kind of translates seamlessly, right? Like artists are always kind of thinking about the industry. They're thinking about how to get in and break into the industry, and it's been really fun now helping artists to think about how to think about themselves as mini businesses and how to set goals for themselves and to kind of achieve a bit of sustainability so that they can continue to do the things they love.
You've already got something going for you as an artist if you're together enough to hire a lifestyle coach.
I was going to say, do you give a good discount for the artists? I mean, It's
now
hard
I'm
to
doing this
starve
work
and
for-
hire a life coach.
For free?
For free.
What?
Because I work at a museum
dope.
and I've worked at a residency. So I find that like when I'm not consulting folks who can really afford to have like, someone work with them, I do this work because I love it. I want to see people live their best lives. And, you get to do that as an administrator. But there's another component that really is about like listening to people, and helping them and really giving them space to think about the things that they, maybe don't give themselves permission to dream and think about. So that part is fun, and it reminds me that it's also my job to do that for myself.
Do you have any training in that, or do you just make it up as you go?
Lots of people do make it up as they go. This is true. I do have training. I'm an applied anthropologist, so I'm always looking at qualitative information and how that's useful, both within organizations, but also smaller groups. And then I've actually also taken courses. So again, my practice is really centered around food, healing, art, and kind of radical education. So it's always combining those things in whatever projects I take on. And as of late, the last 10 years, it's been centered around real estate development, interestingly enough. So how do we,
How'd you fit that into?
Food,
healing, art, and radical education.
If people don't have space to actually have freedom to do some of the things that they're interested in doing, then they're searching for the right spaces to actually be able to show work or perform or try something new. And so a lot of what I'm doing is trying to think about institution building differently. And with a more inclusive sort of and equitable lens. So the last two projects that I've done really bring people into the fray where you get an opportunity to maybe try something and fail. And I think in maybe even failing or not doing something well, there's something really incredible that happens.
That's all part of the process. You have to fail to succeed.
Absolutely.
That's a big
I do it
entrepreneurial
regularly.
thing, isn't it, Matt? Entrepreneurs used to always say that. Are they still saying that?
Oh, it's so painful because the thing is, you have all these great ideas, and it's not your best idea that sort of survives and succeeds.
Or what
so,
you think is the best.
Oh,
Really?
yeah, you had this idea, and it turns out you're like, why this one? I mean, I had this idea and that idea,
I remember a great idea you had.
Which one?
Vote it.
Oh, God.
Remember that?
Yeah, I was trying to
I
help
love
people
that
like
idea.
decide things all together, but it's hard to get people to pay money to have a platform, sort of like
Hey,
surveys.
can you
and all
explain
this
to
kind
these
of
guys
stuff.
what Vote It was? It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, imagine you could all like vote, and you're trying to decide an issue, and everybody's votes could change at the same time, and you're writing comments about why you support something or don't like something. It was really interesting. It was a lot of fun. But it turns out that if you're trying to democratize decision making, it turns out management won't pay for it. The last thing power wants to do is give up power and then pay to give up power. So it's the wrong formulation for a business idea. Although it was.
It's still
was a
such a
run.
great idea. It was a piece of software that everyone could log on to. It seems like someone like you, Gia, could use that, right?
Yes.
Maybe you were just looking at the wrong place. You were looking to sell it to business, whereas you could sell it to some other non-profit type work.
Well, you never know. And somebody said to me, what do you want to be? Do you want to be more handsome or stronger or do you want to be richer or whatever it was? I just want better timing. Because you have these ideas and you're early. And if you're early, people don't like your idea and it's sort of dead. There are all these
Right.
ideas that, whatever, toys.com or pets.com, like all these failures that are now like people buy all their pet food online, whatever is going on, right?
Amazon.com just killed all of it, though. And what's in Amazon?
Well,
I
that's a
don't know.
good question. I want
everything.
to
Right,
ask you
it's
guys this question, especially you, and if you just brought this up, Josh, that is Amazon.com the bad guy or the good guy? Is it a marketplace where anybody can sell anything and it's democratized business, or has it killed everything? Like, is it the Walmart of online?
Both?
I think
Yeah, both.
time will tell. Bezos wants to go to the moon, so when the robots that develop there and take over come back here and kill all of us, we can make a call.
But I'm serious. Is there an answer to this question? Is he a good guy, Jeff Bezos, or is he?
They're driving prices down, and they're mercilessly driving prices down and driving convenience and stuff up. And so, I don't know if you've been to the Amazon Go store where you walk in, you just open your phone, it scans your code, there's no cashier. So you walk in and grab something off the shelf, put it down, walk to the next shelf, grab whatever you want, and you just walk out and you get a bill. It is magic to walk into a place where there's no cashier, you take what you want, you leave.
I kind of like cashiers.
Really? You
I
like
that
sitting
there's
in?
a
You like
person-
queuing up?
Or maybe there's a person with a job,
Well, that's a different problem.
Yeah, and then also these places a lot of time are cashless. So it's almost like class warfare in a way. If you don't have access to a bank account, then you're screwed.
Well,
Yeah.
that's true. Something like this, if you cash on.
There's an interesting project called the Venus Project that kind of looks at doing away with menial labor and like what that means for human potential. And so in a really idealistic way, I feel like the move towards how we use our time, how we use our brain power and our capacity is actually kind of fascinating. Now the process to getting there, I don't think will be a smooth process if that's where humans are going, right? Which is just like, hey, what else could this cashier be doing with his or her time if menial labor was taken care of, but if we democratized and made processes more equitable, right? I don't know that can happen in a capitalist system.
Right.
Though,
There's
right?
always a lot of losers.
I've got 2 words.
Yes,
Matt, what is
lots of losers.
Lots.
I was going to say, well, one of the people who loves New Orleans started this company called Venture for America, had all these people come to New Orleans, like great, incredible graduates to help startups in New Orleans, and having a lot of success. And he came here and he said, hey, Matt, what do you think about AI and what's about to happen to all the jobs in the world? And it's like, oh, we're fucked. We are fucked. It is unbelievable. He said, yeah, that's why I'm running for president. And so he's Andrew Yang. He is a huge
2020.
fan of New Orleans and doing stuff here. But it's like, anyway, so that message has carried him. I think he's 6th in the polls. He killed it in the debates last night. But it's fascinating to watch a person who's just like one of us basically sit up there and just tell a lot of truth. It's wild to watch.
Well, he's got the solution to this end of menial labor, which is this universal basic income where everybody gets $1,000 a month.
Right.
So
and you're trying it and surveying people about how they spend that money, and it is fascinating. I think.
Is it working?
Working, I think, is the wrong way to kind of think about an analysis around it. I think it's been more fascinating to see people are using it for things like, child care or trying to pay off bills. And then, of course, you have people who are sort of saying, I'm going to treat myself to that nice dinner that I never get to do. And I feel like even though we might have a critique of that, I think that's also important, right? That people can see themselves outside of just sort of working to pay off debt. And so there's something for us to learn from this kind of experiment that's happening around universal income.
I worked with a lot of people who did you work in the tech industry, Russian folks who'd grown up under the Soviet system. And they said, the thing is that we had healthcare, we had food, guaranteed apartment, job, retirement, daycare, everything. And you could go to school. We got master's degrees. You got paid to get master's degrees. So they'd get 1, 2, 3 degrees, all this stuff. And they said the thing is that although there was not that much you could do, you were so safe. You just didn't worry. Your stress was so low. They said here, you don't know. You could be homeless. Anything could happen to you. And so having that security, it was an interesting trade-off.
So the communist system is way better.
Except,
No.
you can't speak up.
Well,
If you
there's
have
no
objections
freedom
about how
of
the
speech.
system works, then
Right.
you're going to have a hard time.
As long as you don't have a political, and they would not, I couldn't get any of these folks to say anything political. They're
Sure,
like, I've got
sure.
other interests,
Yeah.
But so I'm not saying that one is better than the other, but what stress, it is stressful to look at your healthcare. It's stressful to look at every other
Right.
piece, right?
Bills,
And
bills,
have somebody
bills.
be like, you don't have
But
that.
is universal basic income the same as communism? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, I think the idea is reducing the stress, right? Which is
Right.
like if you know you've got some baseline that you're going to get to,
But
then
this is-
you
right.
there's no worse you could do.
Hierarchy of needs,
is there a
right?
difference between the word universal basic income and welfare? You know what I mean? Because if you look at it in a historical context, the United States has never really been much of a welfare state. So culturally, we're not really used to that. But there are many examples of places that have more socialized programs. Obviously, people point to Scandinavia as something that works. But then you also look at places in Central America or the Caribbean where there are welfare states, but it's basically used as a point of control by the autocrats. Like Nicaragua, for example, or all the dictatorships, which in fact were supported by the United States. So it's
Well, those
trippy, huh?
places are places where there's rampant poverty to begin with.
Sure.
Whereas we're talking about a country like the United States where
Right.
there's not rampant
So that's what's
poverty.
interesting.
We only have a few people to bring up. We don't have a whole nation to bring up. So maybe it's possible if everybody just got a couple of thousand
I don't know.
bucks.
I would argue that wealth gap is actually growing
Well, that's true.
exponentially, and that in this country, most people are actually living paycheck to paycheck, which means
Right.
this idea of homelessness is actually a very real possibility for many folks, right? And so I think a place like New Orleans, what's interesting about being back here and at home, things I couldn't appreciate earlier in life, are that this idea that people care, the generosity of people is kind of exceptional, right? And,
In New Orleans.
In New Orleans,
You find
right?
that to be true, for real. It's
I
it's genuine.
think, there's a genuine, there's a tension, right? But I think that people are sort of interested in how this place acts as an incubator for being different from any town USA. And so I think that's why I think a lot of folks are looking to this place for information to try to understand.
Are they?
Well,
Yeah,
culturally,
solutions.
but not structurally or systematically. There's a dissonance between the way people treat each other here on the street level and how they act in City Hall or in the State House in Baton Rouge. It's different.
Absolutely, but there's an agency there in
Right.
terms of how people take up space.
If we could translate the way we act culturally here to policy or to the system or structure, then maybe we might have a fighting chance.
Well, Matt, you're involved in politics here. How would we do that?
Oh well, that's a hard question. I mean, politics, right? Somebody defined politics. I thought it was kind of
Trade
interesting.
hospitals closed,
Is the means to divide resources on a subjective basis, because there's no real objective way to be like, how should everything be shared? Which roads should be repaved? I mean, it's hard to get to that, right? But I helped Latoya. Latoya Cantrell is a personal friend, and helped encourage her. Was like, you need to run for mayor. You should do that. And
You
so-
said that to her, not she said that to you.
No. I'm on this side of the fence,
Right.
and that's good. But so she won, and it was kind of funny. And she said, "Well, would you, now that I've won, would you help me help run my transition team?" And it was kind of fascinating because I thought I was done when she won the election, and she's like, "But we haven't taken office yet." And then she had to transition, and then after
So
the
you
transition,
headed up the her transition team.
I was co-chair, yeah.
So you appointed or you advised her on who to put in city government?
At various times.
So you're the
for
guy we
various-
need to get off a parking ticket and so on.
Yeah, what's up with that? There
That's
was
the
like
main
talk
thing.
about those speeding tickets being taken away, or
Well,
it was
they did-
forgiven.
Look, this
I'm
is
just
not my
saying,
issue.
man.
I'm not gonna own all that. But so they did basically.
Doesn't take long.
They did turn them off during the summer. They did a
They
couple
did?
of that stuff. But the
Okay.
truth, the reality is that it's a significant amount of revenue. My personal
right.
request is that we have flashing lights at every time there's a traffic camera in the school zone. I just
Yes.
I don't want to speed through a school zone ever in my life.
Just want to be reminded.
Just add that.
Well,
and help that
you've
with the
figured
Ryan.
out how to make a huge amount of money. Can you figure out for the city how to make a huge amount of money?
Well, that's like the Huey Long quote or whatever. Don't tax me, don't tax you, tax the man behind the tree. Something like that.
Well,
Or
without
tax
us
the man
paying
behind the
more
tree.
taxes, we're already paying enough taxes and we're not getting anything for it, really.
Well, so then you got to show stewardship, right? This is an actual real issue, and I think the Sewage and Water Board, all the rest of that is like, we're
Yeah, what's
gonna
up
take
with
the
those
money, we
guys?
got to be
Yeah.
effective. I think Hassan's doing a good job, but
Yeah.
it's hard. You're up against.
A 120-year-old system,
Oh.
or older than that, right?
So look, in the transition, you talk to people, and maybe of 10 people, 8 would say drainage was their big
Right.
issue, right? And then 1 or 2 would say crime, and then housing costs would be like the third distant. Like drainage is overwhelmingly the support. And so Latoya came at this, and she was willing to take on the state and the tourism to go after getting that money, about $40 million a year. Mitch didn't do that. Other people were afraid to do that, and she went after that. And we need money to pay for it. There's no way
Right.
around it.
It was a pretty good idea. Well, she's consolidated the Convention and Visitors Bureau and the Tourist Commission and all these boondoggle type operations that were out there, which is a pretty smart thing to do.
We have to get the money. I mean, I hate to say it because it is taxes that are going to get paid, and we have to do that. But there's a real serious problem. Everybody's
Well, the
seeing it.
Sewage and Water Board is the big problem, apparently. That
what-
seems to me to be. I mean, I think
gotta-
that's true, isn't it? I mean,
Isn't it every time there's a flood or something, people are always saying that it would be so easy to just have more teams of guys out there cleaning the ditches, cleaning the drainage ditches. And there's guys in neighborhoods who have documented, it took me 45 minutes by myself to scoop out all the muck.
right.
I am one of those people
Right.
on my block
Right.
who does it. Yeah.
So now that does get back to the question, what are we paying for with our tax money? But that's also the same on a federal level as well.
yeah.
Well, that's
You
true. But in New Orleans, especially, there's not much to show for the property taxes that we pay, or even the sales tax we pay.
Or the ticket money. Where,
Right.
Is
There's
there
not
somewhere
much.
where we can read the layout of the expenditure?
Where does the
Well,
money
they,
go?
They do. I mean, again, I'm not a defender of anybody.
Sure,
I'm
sure,
just,
sure.
I don't represent
Just a
New Orleans
conduit.
in any way.
We're just
but
chatting.
no, but they've got the budget. They do budget processes. It's incredibly complicated
I'm
for
sure.
how it all works. You know what I mean? But so you can actually see where people are spending the money. But we underinvest in roads. I think Baton Rouge, the stat I saw was something like they spend 7x per mile. So there's a joke which is like, oh, we're built on soft soil, and I know it's peat and all the rest of that kind of stuff. But the other thing is we just don't spend the money to have the roads.
Right.
Let's just be honest with each other.
It seems like it's easier in New Orleans to embezzle millions of dollars than it is to divert millions of dollars towards things that need to get done.
I would take issue with that. I think so. Mitch, there was not a major scandal through the 8 years of Mitch. I mean, I suppose in Nagin, I mean, I helped bring people into Mitch's administration and the tech transition and stuff. I mean,
does that just mean nobody got caught though?
Well, that's I don't know.
Yeah,
I
just by the
that.
nature of the modern Democratic Party.
No.
I mean, how many people did Mitch Landrieu have his hands in their pockets?
Well,
of,
chief technology officer for Nagin. I mean, like 2 of the 4 went to prison, or so that's a 50-50
They just got better at doing it.
Yeah, they were stupid.
I'm just waiting for a New York Times article or something.
On Mitch?
On anyone.
Oh,
absolutely.
On anyone from New Orleans.
It's interesting as a leader of an institution that certainly has had its share of kind of political issues, right? The New Orleans African American Museum had a convergence of political issues. One of the things that I feel like is really important is a high level of transparency for constituents and community, to understand like how we're spending money. What are the museum's priorities, right? We're sitting on prime real estate in the middle of historic Treme.
All right.
We just started, a renovation project, and it's been really important from the beginning to sort of say, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're doing, and this is the end result, and this is how this benefits community. So I think, to your point, Matt, like when we have leaders that are willing to share the challenges that we all experience, right, and are willing to walk us through the process, no process is going to be perfect, but, when you have a leader who's willing to be transparent, I think that that's something significant. And so I've appreciated that we can get, a higher level of transparency with the last administration and with LaToya's administration.
But it seems to me, as well as that, which is great to have honesty and transparency, it would be good to have actual smart people in the administration, like you, for example. Rather
Come on, man, just run.
guys,
man.
No, but like
you're the most successful guy in the entire world in your business.
Oh yes,
And
that doesn't mean I understand how to do zoning.
It's a pretty
and
good
administer
It's
stuff.
a pretty good chance that you do, though.
But you know what I did was I helped hire Gilbert Montagna, who's our CAO of the city. He came from Albuquerque. He is amazing. But it's hard to manage through. You've got civil service. You've got people who. It's very hard to change your staff. So you've got the staff you come in with, and you have to run thousands of people to run all these projects. So one of the candidates running against LaToya used to say, well, this is an Einstein. I'm like, right, this is an Einstein. It's boring process. Like, this is not particle physics or whatever it is. Like, this is just how to get streets paved. This is the most boring, hard, grinding work there is to change policies that were somebody invented 100 years ago, ideas that we're stuck with. And you're battling against all this stuff. It's a tough process, and people want to see you fail. Although luckily, I think in New Orleans we're way less divided in a lot of cities because people realize we all live and die by LaToya.
Well, we're all in this together now.
We're in this together.
Yeah, we need to not drown.
Yeah.
Or be washed away.
Or be washed away, and there are
or
other
pay
cities where
$800 a month for our sewage and water board bill.
Oh God!
Which is a whole other.
Look, I had my sewage and water bill a couple of months ago was $7,000.
Call them
There
out.
you go.
They broke a pipe somewhere. They let it run, whatever. Now, to their credit, when I said my regular bill, they let me pay my regular bill amount and waive the other most of $7,000.
Everybody in New Orleans has had the same conversation
Yes.
with the sewage and water board people saying, why is my bill $800? Well, they just like, oh, you don't have to pay that.
To their
That's a
credit, though,
mistake.
that burst was really impressive
was-
the other day.
oh my
It was-
God,
it
down
was
on
a
Pinole
geyser.
Street, that was
It was like,
wild,
it was like
wasn't it?
Yellowstone. It was
Yeah,
beautiful.
it was cool.
Yeah, it was so
Except
cool.
for the
Yeah,
the
there's
effects
people
of
without
it.
water.
Hey, listen,
Okay.
you guys, Cyrille, it's time for you to play another song. What do you think? Can you play one more for us?
What do you want to do?
Want to do Love Me or something else a little more up, maybe?
Yeah.
Want to do like Beginning to See the Light?
Okay.
That would
What
be
key is that?
great.
We need to begin to see the light.
Yeah, that is a beautiful
There's
song.
water board bills.
Is that Duke Ellington?
I never cared much for moonlit skies. I never blinked back at fireflies. But now that the stars are in your eyes. I'm beginning to see the light. I never walked in for afterglow or candlelight on the mistletoe, but now when you turn the lamp down low, I'm beginning to see the light. I used to ramble through the park, shadow boxing in the dark. Then you came and caused a spark that's a 4-alarm fire now. I never made love by lantern shine, never saw rainbows in my wine, but now that your lips are burning mine, I'm beginning to see the light. Take it. I used to ramble through the park, shadow boxing in the dark. Then you came and caused a spark that's a 4-alarm fire now. I never made love by lantern shine, never saw rainbows in my wine, but now that your lips are burning mine, I'm beginning to see the light, boy, beginning to see the light, boy, beginning to see the light.
Nice. Score one for jazz over computer graphics.
Yeah, really.
Oh, we're playing this
beautiful.
Friday.
Where are you at?
No,
Saturday.
Saturday, close enough.
My bad.
One of these nights. Where are you playing?
At Snug Harbor.
God, that was beautiful. It's like Sarah Vaughan and West Montgomery sitting right across from you. Isn't it?
Come on.
Really,
It's
seriously.
so nice.
It's beautiful. That's what a treat.
Yeah.
That is awesome. So where can we see you play? This Saturday at
Snug Harbor, 8 p.m. and 10 p.m.
And are you in town much? Are you in New Orleans much playing, or are you mostly just not playing
When
while
I
you're
am,
here?
I play, but I'm not in town a lot.
Right.
But this is the last one in a while, and it's gonna be a 7-piece band.
Big band.
Yeah, and we're gonna.
Are you
do
the music
all-
director, Josh? You putting this together?
No, I'm just there for good
I'm
times.
the music director.
You're the music director of your own band. Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
He's the boss.
And we're gonna perform songs from the Sondheim tribute. And yeah, so that's Saturday, October.
Oh, that's going to be a real
19th.
treat. Saturday, October the 19th, 2019, if you happen to be listening to this after that. We can find more of your stuff on CyrileAimee.music.com or something like that.
CyrileMusic.com or
Cyrille.
Spotify. Cyrille Aimee.
Okay, and it's spelled Cyrille if you're looking for that. And we have links to it on our website as well. It's neworleans.com. This has been a real treat having you here. I can't thank you enough for coming
Thank
along.
you.
And Josh, thank you for coming along too, coming back. It's been great.
Thank you.
And Matt Wisdom has been here from Turbo Squid. We can find you on Turbo Squid.
Thank you so much.
And
for
also you're going to be the savior of New Orleans eventually. That's what I'm planning.
I don't accept that yet, but if that happened, that
On
would
the
be
way.
great for
Come on, just
everybody,
run.
including me.
Yeah.
do it.
No, I don't. You don't want to run for anything. You want to just step into the organizational.
Anything I can do to help somebody else to save this city, I'll do.
I will-
Y'all need
okay.
someone good on social media that can just tell everybody in plain language what's up in the city.
That's a good angle. And we can follow Josh, of course, on Have a Great Day.
At Joshua Starkman
At
on
Joshua Starkman on
yeah.
Instagram. And Have a Great Day on...
It's Joshua Starkman. It's just under my name, actually.
Just Google it. And you can
Yeah.
buy merch.
I have shirts,
T-shirts.
stickers, pins. I'm going to get coffee mugs, maybe underwear with my face on it.
Underwear with your face on it.
Yeah,
Okay, that's
surprise.
an interesting idea. But go check out this because it really is cool what Josh is doing. It's spreading music around the world and around the country. Hey, Zaire is awake. And just look for Josh Starkman, S-T-A-R-K-M-A-N.
Yeah, underwear.
Zaire woke up. Gia Hamilton, thank you for being here too.
Thank you.
And we can go see you down there at the African American
New Orleans African American
Museum.
Museum, yeah, 1418 Governor Nichols.
And we can find you online as well.
You can at noaam.org.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much,
Thank
everybody.
you.
That is Happy Hour for another week, brought to us by Basics on Magazine Street and the Positive Vibrations Foundation, who create and encourage community through the development and preservation of the arts, music, culture, and heritage. If you'd like to be a member of our Patreon family, go to patreon.com, and for as little as $1, you can be a member of our Happy Hour family. Our Happy Hour theme is being played today by Josh Starkman. The producer of our show is Graham DePonte. Our music producer is Monique Pyle. Christian Unu is our music consultant, and our technical director is Thomas Walsh. Did I say Thomas Walsh? It's Thomas Walsh, actually. Our Facebook Live feed director is Asher Griffith, who put this whole thing on Facebook Live, or at least half of it. Andrew Searock is our fact checker and social media connector, and our theme music normally is written and played by Mitch Foreman, but today it's being played by Joshua Starkman from Have a Great Day. If you'd like to be on our show and you can stay upright for about 60 minutes while drinking alcohol, drop us a line. Our address is on our website, itsneworleans.com. You can also check out many other happy hours that we made previous to this show, along with other shows we make here, including Out to Lunch with Peter Asciuti, live from Commander's Palace, Louisiana Eats with Poppy Tooker, and our award-winning podcast about death called Death the Podcast. You can also find other great Louisiana podcasts at itsacadiana.com and itsbatonrouge.la. You can keep up with us on a bunch of time-sucking social media between shows, like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. On all of it, you can find us at It's New Orleans, and you can find photos from this show on itsneworleans.com and on our It's New Orleans Happy Hour Facebook page. These photos were taken today by Hope Bird. You can find more of Hope's photos online. You can Google her name, Hope BYRD, or check out her website, The Gold Frame. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast app, thank you for subscribing to us. If your podcast app has a share option, tell a couple of friends about us here at Happy Hour. The show is recorded live today at Wayfair on Ferret Street in Uptown New Orleans. Happy Hour is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com. Andrew Duhon is going to be back here next week. In the interim, if you're looking for him, go to andrewduhon.com. He's on the road on the West Coast at the moment. On behalf of everybody around the table here at Wayfair and back at our office in INO Broadcasting, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Grant Morris. I'll see you back here next week for more Happy Hour.